What if your dog's baths are doing more harm than good and actually causing the skin issues you're trying to fix? Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk, the podcast helping mentally and emotionally burned out dog parents who don't understand their pup finally release the guilt, learn to communicate clearly with your dog, and build the loving bond you've been searching for by avoiding the quick fixes and laying the foundation for a happy, calm, fulfilled dog through training, nutrition, and enrichment. I'm Em, and in this episode, you'll learn how to protect your dog's skin barrier so you can prevent itch, odor, and irritation, how to keep your dog clean between baths using vet-backed products and simple routines, and how to build a healthy grooming routine that actually supports long-term skin health. Because healthy skin isn't about more baths, it's about better care. You have spent years matching rescue pets with families on Dr. Lisa to the rescue. What's the one story that stayed with you, and what did it teach you about connection?
There was this little girl, and she was terrified of dogs so bad that she couldn't even be within, say, 10 meters of a dog without panicking and just running into her parents' arms, crying, running the other direction. And her parents were smart enough to do some research, and they spoke to some people nearby in their community and their friends and family, and everyone suggested to get a dog. So I met these people at the shelter, and this little girl, she was terrified, like really terrified to her core. And we ended up finding a dog that had the right personality for her. It was a young dog, but not too boisterous, just calm and just connected so well with people. And it just stuck with me that when we introduced that child to that particular dog, and she put her hand on that dog for the first time. I mean, she hasn't really ever touched a dog. And this connection between the two of them was so powerful. I knew at that moment it was going to be okay. And then I went back to their house and settled this little girl in with her dog and showed the family what to do. And then followed up with them a little while later. And this child was a different person. That dog made it into her heart. That fear was gone. They were inseparable. I will never forget it. And I tell people this all the time, that if you have a child that's scared of dogs, the best thing you can do for them is get them their own. And yeah, that is one of the stories in the show that made a huge impact on me.
That's a really cool story. The relationship between kids and dogs is so special. I had a golden retriever growing up. His name was Vince, and he was my best friend. I loved that dog so much. I lost him when I was 16 years old, and that changed the course of my life. So I think that those relationships with our pets when we're young is so, so important. So I love that you were able to change the trajectory of a young lady's life so early on by helping her with that. Such a beautiful thing.
Really is.
In your opinion, what do you think the vet's role in helping families choose the right dog is? Are there red flags or green flags that you look for during adoptions?
I think for me, it's so much about what that family wants, what that person wants, what they have in their lifestyle, how much they can give the dog. I think these are the most important things to establish first. It's not so much what dog do you want, what dog do you imagine in your life. It's what can you actually give to that animal, because there is a reason these animals are in shelters in the first place, and we never want them to end up there ever again. So when they find that home, that family, it needs to be for life. Establishing how much they can give the animal is, for me, the most important part of the whole thing. The rest of it all will work out. We'll find the right animals. There are that many dogs in shelters. You will find the right one, but you have to be able to give your all to that dog. That dog's had a hard life. They need something better. And if you can't do that, don't get a dog. It sounds pretty blunt.
I love that, because there are so many dogs in shelters, and it's literally because people get a dog. It doesn't matter what breed it is. If they don't know anything about the dog or the breed or its genetic needs or any of that stuff, they are going to fail because
100%.
They don't know what to do with the dog. And instead of learning or asking questions, the dog goes to the shelter because dogs are disposable. Unfortunately, they're disposable and people just say, forget it, we'll start over. And then they get another dog and they do the same thing and they get another dog and do the same thing. And it's like, maybe ask for help somewhere here along the way.
100%. 100%. And you know what? For me, it's not so much about saying you should only rescue dogs and you can't get it from a breeder, because ultimately people are going to get dogs from dog breeders and that is okay. People are also going to get dogs from shelters and that is okay. What the most important part is to make sure whatever dog you get does not end up in a shelter. So whether you're getting a dog from a breeder or you're getting a dog from a shelter, if you can't give the dog what it needs, if you haven't got the right education, it's not going to work out for anyone. So my mission is really to help all dog owners. I'm not just pigeonholing myself to those who are adopt owners, because there are a lot of people who go to breeders too, and every pet owner needs to have the right education so those dogs don't end up where they shouldn't be.
No, I completely agree with you. If you were going to prepare somebody and they said, what's the difference between adopting a rescue and getting a dog from a breeder? Where would you steer them as far as education in those directions?
I really try and take a very diplomatic approach with it, because ultimately, as a vet, I'm going to be helping everyone. I want to be able to support all types of places where people can get dogs. For me, if that person can really understand the implications of, say, getting a dog from a breeder and what type of breed that is and what that dog needs for its particular breed versus, okay, you're getting a dog from a shelter. What is its background? Does it have any extra special needs? Has it had a history of trauma? Are you going to have to help rehab that dog? Are you getting a puppy? Because ultimately, if you get a puppy from earlier on in their life, whether it's from a breeder or a shelter, they're both going to be amazing. You're going to have almost a clean slate to work with that dog. It really depends. Adult, medical issues, previous trauma, or is it a puppy? In which case there is a lot more flexibility, but also a lot more hard work.
What do you think the biggest responsibility about having a pet? It doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cat or a bird, any kind of pet. What do you think the biggest responsibility a pet owner should consider is?
I'm kind of biased in the sense that I see all the people who end up with medical bills that they can't afford or they weren't expecting because they got this pet, thinking it's low maintenance. I can finance this right now, but they don't necessarily think of a year's time or 5 years' time or 10 years' time, not understanding the medical costs that you may incur by having a pet, no matter what pet it is, and people not taking out pet health insurance because they think, oh, it's so expensive and the chances are so low, and ultimately underestimating the cost of veterinary care, which is a whole nother discussion and a really challenging thing for us as vets to navigate. But that would be my number one piece of advice, is think about what this animal is going to cost you over their life.
It's the same thing with kids and just people in general. You never know when there's going to be an accident, an injury, anything, an illness. The other day, I think I saw that 1 in every 4 dogs gets cancer now. That's insane. And
Yeah.
cancer treatment in dogs is expensive, and sometimes insurance doesn't cover that. It's definitely something to consider when you're looking at getting a dog. My dog, Toby, he just upgraded to a grade 4 heart murmur, and we had to start getting compounded medication for him. I mean, it's $90 for a bottle of it. It's
Yeah.
not cheap, and
Yeah.
that's every month. He has to have 2 medications. The other one's only like $20. $110 a month to make sure that he doesn't have fluid around his heart and he can breathe, because the other option is not great. So
100%.
it's just, cost is definitely a very important thing. And I do think a lot of people don't think about it. And even not in veterinary bills, but collars and leashes and skincare products and all the other things. Food, what are you going to feed? Are you going to do filtered water or tap water? There's all kinds of expenses that are wrapped up in taking care of a pet. We don't have to buy them school supplies or clothes. They're not as expensive as children, but they're still expensive.
I think as vets, one of the hardest conversations we have with people is those financial conversations and the cost of treatment, and people really needing to learn and understand that the care their pet is getting in a hospital for animals is very similar to what you would get in a hospital for humans. So we have the same type of equipment. We deal with very similar types of diseases. People are expecting outcomes like they would for their own human children because pets are part of their family. So educating pet owners around the cost of veterinary care and the requirements of veterinary care is a huge part of it, because that relationship with a pet owner and their vet is really important. It is so important that that's a positive relationship built on trust, because ultimately our jobs as vets is to advocate for the animals and be that intermediary between a pet parent and their pet child, and be the voice for that animal, and kind of help them navigate that healthcare journey. And if you don't trust your vet, it's never going to work out.
Yeah, definitely some of the hardest conversations I ever had in my life was being a vet tech and having
Hmm.
to explain, okay, this is what treatment costs and this is what palliative care costs. And,
Hmm.
where are we on this and what would you like to do? And sometimes people start with treatment and then they move to palliative care. And sometimes they start with palliative care and they just, ease on into the pet's end of life. And that's a really difficult decision. And having that support and understanding without judgment is so important because they're making a really hard decision about a life. And I think that people
Absolutely.
don't consider that enough. And people get negative and jump on them for their
Mhm.
decisions. Not everybody can just pull $15,000 out of the bank to treat cancer, and that's
Yeah.
that's expensive.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
And
it's
people
okay.
need, and that as well is our job as vets to help people learn that it's okay what you choose, as long as that animal quality of life is at the forefront, and that animal is not suffering, and that animal is getting the best out of their life, even if it's shorter than you would otherwise want.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about your product line now. I've been waiting to have this conversation with you because skincare in dogs is something that I think that gets overlooked a lot and misunderstood a lot. I have some of your products here. We'll show those a little bit later and kind of get into the specifics of those. But you created Dog by Dr. Lisa to fill a gap in gentle, sustainable grooming. What made you decide to develop your own product?
I've spent a lot of time working with other brands, but realized very quickly through that there was no one really dedicating attention from a veterinary point of view in terms of preventative skincare. Everything was therapeutic based skincare, and that's okay. And that's definitely needed. But my whole approach to everything I do as a vet is trying to prevent things from happening in the first place. And I saw this opportunity to do that in the skincare and grooming space. And I like to call it skincare because grooming seems like it's just cosmetic and just about how they look and how their coat looks, and that is the cream on top. The most important part is to actually treat the skin and help the skin function how it should. And then naturally, a healthy coat will follow.
A lot of skincare grooming products are full of chemicals. What ingredients did you intentionally leave out, and why does that matter for our dog's skin and health coat?
I've left out really harsh preservatives, drying soaps, artificial fragrances. I can rattle off a whole list of very technical terms for all the nasties. And the reason that that was so important to me is that's where the human skincare space is heading. That's where a lot of the research in the human space is going. Why is the pet space lagging so far behind? Skin disease is a massive problem in pet. It's one of the number one medical problems we treat. Their skin is exposed to so much more than ours is. Their skin is thinner than ours. They're walking closer to the ground. They're not wearing clothes. They're in contact with their environment so much more than we are. And it baffled me that that wasn't something that was ever really a focus on for skincare and shampoos and grooming products for dogs. I was inspired by my own human children's journey with eczema. All four of them had eczema, and I learned a lot through trips to the dermatologist, and products that I used on their skin helped me develop this range of products for pets, because ultimately the skin needs to function as a barrier, whether it's on a human being or an animal. And if it's not functioning properly, that's when the cycle of allergies and infections and long-term itchiness and skin problems develops.
How do your products support common skin or coat issues, especially in dogs like Toby, who are prone to allergies or sensitivities because they have a white coat?
The premise of a lot of the products we make is around moisturizing and keeping that skin barrier hydrated and preventing dryness, because dryness is the ultimate enemy here. If that skin is dry, then that skin is not serving as a barrier like it should. So, the kind of backbone of the products we make is focused on keeping the skin hydrated so that it can function exactly how it's supposed to.
Let's talk a little bit about that. This is exactly where the education falls a little bit short on the skin barrier with dogs and the natural oils and people bathing their dogs at a frequency that's sometimes a little bit outrageous just because they don't know. The dog starts to smell, they throw it in a bath. 3 days later, the dog starts to smell, they throw it in a bath. But what they don't realize that they're doing is they're eliminating that skin barrier and they're depleting those natural oils, which then is making their dog smell more. So
Exactly.
your products help with keep the moisture and keep the barrier protected and all that kind of stuff. But frequency, how often, what products can generally like assist with that the most, and just give a little bit of education in this area.
The product we launched our business with were these dog wipes. They're probably the most popular dog wipe brand in Australia. Now that they're in the US, which is really exciting. And the reason I brought out those wipes is because people have their dogs on their beds. People have their dogs on their couches at home. Dogs are really up there with the humans in the household. That is actually where this washing and overwashing cycle started from in the first place, because the dogs are walking around, rolling in who knows what, and their little paws are pretty dirty when they come back inside after a walk. And then they're up on your bed, and you're not going to get into your bed with your shoes on. So that's where people started this whole routine of washing their dogs too often, not realizing that, okay, the more I wash them, the more I'm going to dry out the coat, remove those oils, create this cycle of an unhealthy skin barrier. And an unhealthy skin barrier is smelly. So then they smell and then they wash them again. And it's the same as if you wash your hair every day. If you wash your hair every day, you're going to wash it every day. But if you can stretch it out, your hair is going to get less greasy and less smelly and more shiny and look better. It's the same thing with dogs. And I developed these wipes to be that sort of go between bath time, so that you could wipe the paws when they come in after a walk, clean their face after they've eaten, wipe around their back end after they've made a little bit of a mess, and freshen up the coat. And combining that with a daily brush and some conditioner as required will make their skin so much healthier and so much less smelly that you naturally just won't need to wash them as often. For a regular dog, try to keep it every 4 to 6 weeks. There are obviously dogs that have special needs and they may need medicated shampoos and things, or they may be show dogs and they've got to kind of do their things. It does have to be on an individual basis. But if you've got a dog with healthy skin and no skin conditions, and they don't need to visit the groomer. So say, for example, they're a short-coated dog. You don't really need to wash them at all. You can wipe them down. You can put some conditioner. As long as you're brushing them, that's the number one thing. If you've got a long-haired dog that needs to go to the groomer, and it's really important that you maintain that. I'm a huge advocate of having a good dog groomer. They're a big part of keeping your dog's skin and coat healthy. But a long-haired dog, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks for a tidy up, sometimes a bit longer. It just depends on their individual coat.
I am such an advocate for the not bathing thing. Fitz, my bigger dog, he has a short coat, and honestly, besides rinsing his feet off or wiping his feet off with the wipes, which I have right here, I should have brought an open pack over. I don't know why I didn't do that. They smell so good, and they're really big. Like, I love how big they are and how much they unfold and how much you can see the dirt in them. And I like that if it's spring or fall and there's lots of pollen in the air, I can just kind of wipe him off and help him with his allergies a little bit. But besides rinsing his feet here and there because he's gotten too muddy, he doesn't roll and stuff. He just runs, like his feet might get dirty. We can clean those off. That's fine. But I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I gave him a full bath.
Yeah, and I bet he doesn't smell very much either.
Nope. He
Yeah.
doesn't smell at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't smell at
And
all.
and if you're using the right brush and you're removing those loose hairs and you're kind of removing any dander and kind of surface dust with the wipes, you can give him a little spray with some conditioner as required. And that's all you need to do. Obviously, if you've got a long haired, I've got some rescue poodle crosses, and so they've got really long coats that they go to the groomer every 6 to 8 weeks, and that's perfect. But in between that, I don't give them a bath, and their coat is totally non-smelly. They visit the groomer to maintain the length of the coat and get it all trimmed up, but not because they're smelling. That's what I'm trying to educate people with our products, is that if you can reset your dog's skin and form a new bathing routine and bathing cycle in conjunction with trips to your groomer, if you've got that kind of dog, then you're going to have a dog that smells less, that has a shinier coat, and has a reduced chance of allergies.
Really incredible the difference it makes between just constantly bathing the dog. Yes, it helps, especially if they're in shed season. Give them a bath, get some of that extra hair out. That's a huge win for some people, especially those really heavy coated dogs. But don't do it too often because now all the hair is falling out. It's all over your
100%.
floor and you're vacuuming more. And it's all the things.
Brushing is everything. For me as a vet, I would say that is one of the things that needs a lot more education for in terms of its role in preventative care. If you take the right brush to your dog's coat and really run it through in all areas, the benefits of that brushing, firstly, it removes that dead hair, so it's not going to be shed around your house. It's removing any surface dirt and debris and dead skin cells. It's also helping spread the natural oils that they produce on their own coat. It's going to obviously reduce matting if you've got a longer haired dog. And it's going to stimulate circulation in the skin. So, all of that is very, very healthy and very, very important in creating a better skin barrier, less smelly dog, a less hairy household. So, if you can find the right brush for your dog's coat and from day one get into the habit of a daily brush, your bathing needs are going to be far reduced.
And it's something that if you do it right, like you said from the beginning, you slowly implement that into your routine, that becomes a little bonding activity too. My dogs see the brush and they come running. They
So do
know. They're like, oh, yes, this is a wonderful thing. Let me just sit there because they're getting pet and, held with one hand and they're getting brushed with the other. And then we switch. Each one gets their own little time to do it and they love it. Toby has a little bit longer hair. He has this weird coat. I'm looking at it right now because it's so hard to describe. He has Pomeranian, Lhasa Apso, Chihuahua, and Terrier in him. So he's got this
gosh.
weird, like 3 different levels of length, wiry coat of hair, but he's got the palm in him. So it like comes out in clumps sometimes. And it's just the strangest coat I've ever seen on a dog. He'll just sit there forever and let you brush him, which is
That's
so
amazing.
wonderful.
And it's such a great way to inspect your pet's skin as well. People don't realize how many times you will find lumps and bumps and skin lesions or ticks, whatever it is, just by your daily brush, because you are in such close contact with all aspects of their skin that you will have a better handle on your pet's health, because brushing is a very kind of intimate way of being up close with your pet and inspecting their skin and coat and understanding what's normal for them and what's not. It's a really underestimated and underused part of taking care of pets' skin, and that's part of my mission, to try and help people understand that.
Let's talk a little bit about what I've got here because I've got quite a few things here. Let's talk a little bit more about the wipes. I love the wipes for anal glands too, because a lot of times, you're a vet tech. So of course, you know how to do the anal glands and you actually get the juice out. Being able to clean that off without having to do a full bath is so helpful. My parents are always like, well, we'll just do a bath afterwards. And I took these over and they were like, he smells good. I'm like, yeah, these are great, aren't they? So
Totally.
that was wonderful. They smell really good. That's another thing I like about your products is everything has a very light smell. It's not overwhelming. I'm very sensitive to smells. So being able to open your products and not feel totally overwhelmed by them is wonderful. As I said before, the wipes are very large and they're They're textured, which is also really helpful because if you have to kind of rub a little bit, you get that little bit more depth of cleanliness. And they say on them, where's the thing? Gentle wipes for body, muzzle, paws, and butts. So it tells you exactly where you can use them. Then down below it says, to keep them away from. Do not use for eyes, for external use only, and do not let your pets eat these, which
It's not because they're
happens.
not that they can lick them. That's fine. They're non-toxic. I just don't want any animals eating a lot of them and ending up with an obstruction of wipes. But the special things about these wipes is that they are compostable. So you can bury them in the soil and they'll decompose. And you can, depending on your local council waste, you can put them in the compost bin. They are also very wet, a lot wetter than baby wipes. So if you squeeze them, a lot of liquid comes out of each wipe. So they do a really good job at cleaning the coat. And the scents in them are naturally derived. I mean, they're essential oils, tiny amounts. And it does have this very lovely vanilla kind of coconut lavender scent. But they are predominantly water. So there are no nasties in them. There are no harsh preservatives, and they're made in New Zealand, which is really clean. And we have a fantastic manufacturer over there. The popularity of the wipes, I guess, speaks for itself. So we're really proud of these.
Then we have, let's hold these two things up. So we have the leave-in conditioner and then the coat mask. Do you want to talk about the difference between these two things?
Yeah. So the leave-in conditioner was like our OG conditioner that we brought out. And the reason I love a leave-in conditioner is it functions, think of a moisturizer that you would use on your own skin. Say you've had a bath or you've rinsed yourself, you pop a moisturizer on your skin. It's the same thing. So it's actually there to moisturize the skin. And yes, it's going to moisturize the coat as well. And you only need the tiniest amount. You kind of spread it all over the coat like you would with a human hair care product, but massage it right down to the coat. Don't go and clump a big amount on there because it will get greasy because it is very moisturizing. So start small. You can do it on damp hands and kind of walk your hands through it. Some people want to rinse it out. That's okay if that suits your needs better, but you can use it after a wipe, after a rinse off, and after a bath. And then the coat mask came out a few years later as a far more intensive conditioning treatment. It is probably my favorite product of the range. And you have to think of it like a hair mask. So you pop it on when the coat is wet. You don't always have to shampoo. You can sometimes just do it like if your dog doesn't get shampooed, you can rinse it off, pop the coat mask on, give your dog something distracting to do for 5 to 10 minutes, like a lick mat, go for a walk. Let it really soak into the coat and into the skin, and then rinse it off. And this coat mask turns that coat into butter. It's got sea buckthorn oil and kupawasu butter, and it's intensely moisturizing for the skin and creates a beautiful shiny coat as well.
We had to use it this last weekend because Toby found himself in a ginormous pile of deer poop, and I used the coat mask, and you're right, his coat is so soft. And then we also have our little poncho. And this is great because, like you said, give them something to do for 5 minutes. You can just put this on them and give them a little lick mat or whatever. And then it's covered. They're not licking it. And then, you can use this to let them kind of walk around and dry in. And Toby is not necessarily a fan of it, but man, Fitz will walk around in his forever. It's so funny. It cracks me up. So and they're so soft.
It is this bamboo. It's really soft bamboo. And I made those as something to help people and their dogs after bath time or after a rinse off or after a swim, because it's got little buttons underneath. So when they shake off after being wet, all the moisture stays inside the towel, which stops your car getting wet, stops your house getting wet. And they feel really lovely and cozy in there, and it dries them beautifully too. So it's the ultimate post-bath, post-swim accessory.
It is wonderful for the splash zone afterwards because the flying of the water is always a thing. That was a size small that I just held up. This one is a size medium. This one is Fitz's. So they do run a little bit big, guys. Toby is about 12 pounds and the small is a little bit big for him, but Fitz is about 50 pounds and the medium fits him perfectly. And it does have like the bungee part here around the neck so you can tighten it up so they can't slide out of it. And then, as she said, the snaps right here so that it stays closed under their bellies and stays on them so nicely. It's just so great. Even on rainy days, I like to keep it on my back porch for the days that it's rainy. And then they come in and I just wipe their feet off with the wipes and
Yeah.
throw the little thing over them. And then everybody's dries and gets great. And it's a nice little combination. And then the other thing that I really like is the cologne. This is just so wonderful, especially after Toby decides to roll in something. Maybe we're able to just wipe it off with the wipe, and then we can spray a little bit of this so that stinkiness just goes away that much more quickly.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
it's just I don't know. Everything is so fresh and not overly feminine, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
that's what
it's a
it's
very
designed
neutral
for.
scent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's made with very small amounts of essential oil in a water base. So it's alcohol free. So it's not a perfume and it's not going to last for days and days and days. You can use it as often as you like. And it's there to give them a bit of a fresh smell. And not everyone wants to use a cologne, and that's fine. But sometimes you'll need a spray around that butt when they've had a bit of a clean up. And it is a really nice, refreshing way to do it, as opposed to all these pet colognes that have been out for so long that have that very artificial smell. And when you combine that smell with something pungent, as a vet tech, you would know what I'm talking about. When there's a poo and you combine it with like a synthetic smelling cologne, it's a terrible combination. Strawberry or a cherry, or not a good mix at all. So this is really light. It almost smells like a day spa. And I have so many of our customers saying, "Well, actually, I use it around my room, or I spray it on myself." But it is all safe ingredients and very lightly scented, so that it's tolerated by everyone.
And then last but not least, open this one. I had to buy a new one because this is probably, yeah, this one's brand new. This one is my favorite one. We already went through an entire tube of this since you sent it to us. This is the sensitive skin cream.
Hmm.
I love this. For somebody who has an all white dog and a mostly white dog with red spots, you need this stuff constantly. Allergies, rashes, all the things that they get. They get a little bit red, they get a little pink, they get it on their nose and they're sneezing and all the things. And it's like, okay, what can we do to combat this? One dog goes with Benadryl, the other dog gets a cytopoint injection, but having this on top of that is game changer. It's game changer because they don't feel the need to itch it as much. I've used a lot of skincare products over the years, especially with Toby, and this has just been like magic in a bottle. I absolutely
Awesome.
love this.
Thank you. That's awesome. It's part of our sensitive skin range. So we have a range of fragrance free products, which has a fragrance free wash and a fragrance free leave in conditioner, and then the sensitive skin cream. And that cream is there. It's designed to be used really early on, say before you need to put a topical steroid on your dog or before they need any medication. This is something you can kind of keep in your first aid kit at home, in your grooming kit at home. It's there as soon as you notice a bit of redness, as soon as you notice a bit of an itch, when it's really mild, very, very early on, you put this on. It's intensely moisturizing. It's got natural soothing and anti-inflammatory agents that are there to kind of just help the skin calm down a little bit. And hopefully, if you use it early enough, it will prevent things from getting worse. But obviously, if the skin is oozing or really red or looking moist or really, really itchy, you've got to go to your vet. This is not here to replace medications and topical prescription creams. It's there almost as like a preventative. So to be used very early on, as soon as you notice a bit of an itch or a lick happening.
Yeah, definitely. And I should maybe mention that again, guys. I was a vet tech for a very long time. I know what it looks like when we get to the point of we probably need a little bit of assistance with medication or some kind of injection. And like I said, Fitz is on the cytopoint injection year round. This is just kind of used as a bonus to help us get through those itchier seasons, which for us is spring and fall, because in the Midwest, that's when all of the things die and all of the things bloom. Which one is your best selling product out of all of them?
I'll give you our top few. The wipes are definitely our hero product, and the brand is most known for the wipes. You see them in vet clinics and people's homes. And then we have our wee cleaner, which is an enzymatic pee cleaner for dogs and for cats. We've got a dog version and a cat version. It contains a natural enzyme that neutralizes the odor of urine. You can use it when you're puppy training. You can use it, the cat version, you can use to clean litter trays, but you can also use it to clean up any pet messes. It's fantastic for vomit or any other spills from your pet. Super popular, and it doesn't have that harsh chemical smell that a lot of urine cleaners have. It smells like a day spa. So it's very lightly scented, very natural, very non-irritating, works beautifully to neutralize that odor. And then we have a supplement range here in Australia, which will eventually be coming to the US. So watch this space. How conditioners are also really, really popular. And we've got a balm, which is like great for paws and noses and those kind of really dry, roughened areas. And yeah, those are the products that stand out as the most popular, I guess, because people are using them the most often. But the products work as a system, and that's why I developed them, and that's why I've brought out all the things I've brought out, because they're designed to be used as part of a wider system in an attempt to try and create a healthy skin barrier. So every product that's there, I've formulated myself. I've worked with our chemists to create these products where I've gone and researched all my ingredients based on my clinical experience. And then our chemist has obviously brought that to life. Every single product in our range, whether it's an accessory or a skincare product, has been designed by me as a clinical veterinarian and as a pet parent to try and make pet people's lives easier.
If somebody wanted to get started with a new skincare routine, recommend 3 products and tell them exactly how to use them.
I would say a packet of wipes, the right brush, and a conditioner. You can choose if you want a spray conditioner or a creamy leave-in conditioner, depending on your pet's needs and what you prefer using. But those 3, I would use the wipes to spot clean them, freshen them up, wipe the paws after they come inside. You'd be really surprised how dirty your dog's paws are, by the way. A lot comes off there. You don't want that on your couch or on your bed, and your house will be so much cleaner if you get into that habit. I keep a pack at my front door. Then I would also wipe them around their bottoms after they do a poo. I wipe them also around their mouth after they've eaten, because that stops any kind of food sticking around the lips, which can also cause dermatitis. I wipe around the face, not in the eyes, but around the facial area. Just don't kind of squirt this stuff in the eyes. Even though we've never had a reaction, they're not developed specifically for that. And then you can wipe them all over and give them a freshen up. And then after that, I love to take a brush out. So I will use a slicker brush, which is great for long-haired dogs, or we have a rake, which is great for dogs that have a heavy undercoat. A slicker brush is pretty versatile. It can be used on most coat types. And then give them a daily brush. So if you've got a dog that sheds, do it outside, so the hairs are going outside. If you've got a dog that doesn't shed, do it wherever you want. Get your dog into that habit of a daily brush and understanding how positive that connection that you're building with your dog through brushing is. And then you can, sorry, I've missed before the brush, you could spritz the conditioner. So if you've got a spray conditioner, spray it on, or if you've got the leave-in, tiny amount on damp hands and kind of walk it through the coat and then follow with the brush. You don't necessarily need to use the conditioner every day. You can kind of alternate. You can use it once a week. You really have to be guided by your dog's coat type and what their skin needs are. But you should really make it a non-negotiable with the brushing, because that is going to be the number one thing you can do for your pet's skin and coat.
On top of all of this, you donate a percentage of your profits to the RSPCA and other animal charities. Why was giving back such a non-negotiable for you?
I wanted to create a range of products that served a purpose, obviously from a skincare point of view and a pet care point of view, but also from a social responsibility point of view, that no matter what we do as a company, we're always trying to help those pets in need. So we donate products to shelters. We do financial donations to shelters. We really pride ourselves on that giving back part of our business. We're B Corp certified as well. So that's all part of that kind of greater social and environmental responsibility that we adhere to. If we can donate to the shelters and we can make those lives of those pets in need easier, then that's what makes it all worth it. In the US, we've partnered with Wags and Walks at the moment. So we're really excited that partnership is happening. And then we continue to donate to animal charities, no matter how small or big they are. We are always willing to lend a hand.
Giving back is such an important thing to me, and I love to give back wherever I can. And hopefully, one day when we get this on the road in the RV and we're living that podcast life, the goal is to set up those events where we're giving back to rescues and small businesses that donate in the communities. Like, there's so much that we can do to make the lives of those pets who are not in homes easier. And a little bit of kindness goes a long, long way.
Absolutely.
You have managed to balance a clinical career, media presence, and product development. How do you manage all of it while staying true to your mission at the same time?
That's a tough one. I think like I've always been a really busy person and somebody who's always had big far reaching goals of things that I want to do in life. And I think being a clinical veterinarian is what grounds me through all of this. So I still work in the hospital. I work in a busy emergency department here in Sydney, Australia. I always tell people that that is in my day off, even though most people would not define working in the emergency room as a day off. The reason I say it's my day off is because it is the time that I truly connect with everything that means the most to me in terms of my career and my professional side of my life. That day when I get to save lives and I get to help people get their pets back home to them, and I get to relieve suffering, and I get to see a dog going home to their pet owner, smile, who's smiling and the tail is wagging, and how they reunite. I mean, it is my favorite day of the week. And balancing that with what I'm doing in this brand, where I know that we're making a difference to the lives of pets, no matter how busy I am, those things kind of keep me going. Because when I get a review from a customer saying, "Oh my goodness, my dog's skin has never looked so healthy," or their itching has reduced, or they are not as smelly, and thank you so much, or the house doesn't smell of urine anymore. All these things where I've taken my experience as a pet parent and my experience as a clinical vet, and I'm giving it to others. That combined with what I do in the hospital, no matter how busy I am every single day, it just keeps me going back for more.
I miss working in the clinic. It was my favorite too. It really is a special relationship that you get to have with people and their pets to bring them a little bit of joy or comfort in their day when it comes to their pets, because nobody knows better than us that relationship that we have with our pets and how much we love them. Being able to provide that comfort that we would want for ourselves is such an important job. So I love that you're still able to have that in your life.
Yeah, this is a special privilege we have to work with animals.
It really is. What advice do you have for pet parents who would like to advocate more confidently at the vet or make more intentional health decisions at home?
I would write things down or type things so that you've got a really clear picture of what you've noticed at home with your pet, whether this is something chronic or it's something acute. Write it down, take videos. So if your pet is doing something unusual, video it. No matter how silly you feel, take a video. So if you've got that documented in writing, in video format, in photo format, and you go to your vet with that clear report of what's going on, it's going to help you advocate for your pet better, because in a clinic setting, it can be stressful. Your pet might be stressed and you're worrying about them. You might be hearing medical terms that you don't understand and you're getting overwhelmed. You might be feeling really emotional and really nervous about what information the vet may be sharing with you. But if you go there with a clear mind and everything is documented and you present that information to your vet, it's going to make you feel less anxious because you know you haven't missed anything. And it's going to make your vet's job so much easier, because they can clearly see and understand what's been going on at home, because you are the person who knows your pet best. And there are so many times where a pet parent will be telling me that my dog was doing this at home and now he's come to see you and he's not doing it anymore. And I'm really limited as a clinician in terms of trying to problem solve what's been going on if I can't see it and I don't have a clear story. So if you can provide that very concise clear detail to your vet, it's going to make things so much easier for you and for your clinician as well to work out what's going on with.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking ahead, what's next for Dog by Dr. Lisa? Do you have new products, new ideas in the pipeline? What do you got?
Always new products coming. My mind is buzzing with things. And I take a lot of feedback from the vet techs and the nurses and the vets in terms of what's needed in the industry. So we will be launching a dental product. I'll keep it very broad. That will be coming out later this year. Very excited about that. And then we've got some new products coming out in the supplement space, which is exciting, and some new cat products coming out. So yeah, a lot is happening.
That's very, very exciting. Well, Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. What would you like to leave the listeners with?
I want to tell people to just treasure those moments you have with your pet, because you never know how long they're going to be in your life. Make them the best moments they can be. Enjoy it as hard as it can be having a pet. And I'm not discounting that. I mean, I'm having issues with toilet training my dog at the moment. We all go through it. But if you focus on the joy that they bring you and remind yourself that life is short for them, unfortunately, and if we can provide them with the best preventative care, that life is going to be as good as it can be. And they fill our lives with so much joy. So just hold on to that and be present in all those moments.
Love that so much. Thank you again so much for being here, you guys. Check out the link in the description. You can use code Emily15 to save 15% on your purchase with Dog by Dr. Lisa. And remember, be kind, spread joy, and don't bathe your dog too much. And we'll see you next time on Straight Up Dog Talk. If you've been feeling like no one really understands what you're going through with your dog, it can feel really isolating and heavy, carrying all that weight by yourself day after day. That's why I created a free community, a safe space where you can share the hard stuff, get support, and be surrounded by people who truly get it. You'll find the link in the show notes below. Thank you for listening to Straight Up Dog Talk. Remember, new episodes drop every Monday and Wednesday. I'll see you next time.